Hi folks, it's been a couple of days now since I got hold of my Peavey Ultra Plus, a 25-year-old amplifier that I picked up for only €250 and an hour's drive each way. So that's been a win. Anyway, before I go any further, could you please like and subscribe? I'm 6 likes off 300, 6 subs off 300, and that's my next little target. I don't aim too high. 300's a good start. Anyway, this has taken a little while. Like I said, it's just been stored damp, and it was quite apparent when I brought it in and started cleaning it up. I just needed to give it a bit of time, and the pots were a little bit scratchy and a little bit temperamental. They're not perfect yet, so if you hear it kind of making a noise, that's what it is. Anyway, I'm going to go to the clean channel, and quite simply I'm going to set everything at noon and let you hear this as it is. So all at noon. Cabinet wise, I'm using the Harley Benton with vintage 30s, and I'm using the Laney IRT 4x12. Guitar, obviously I've got to use the EVH Wolfgang because it's the closest I've got to the Peavey Wolfgang, which was in the same era as this. It was designed by James Brown after all, who brought us the 5150 and basically changed metal tones forever. But unlike the Mark I 5150, this has got a clean channel, and it's quite a nice clean channel at that. So, bridge. We've got an active EQ in this, so there's a bit of range as well. So, quite muddy at that. But if I just put up the treble, and I'll leave the bass where it is. So I would say as an amp, as a pedal platform, that's a fantastic clean channel. In fact, I know originally the previous owner used this just in the clean channel because he actually played jazz. He bought a Peavey Ultra to play jazz on a clean channel, which when you hear the gain channel is sacrilege, but it's got a good clean channel. And it also has got a bright switch. And for my ears, maybe it's because I'm aging, I don't know, maybe the top end is disappearing. The bright switch makes a world of difference. And I'll let you hear this with the guitar on the neck pickup. No, yes, neck pickup. Because you will hear like this. It's a little bit muddy, a wee bit dark. So, if I press in the bright, it's almost like hitting a loud switch in a hi-fi. It's not just the bright that cuts through. The lows seem to tighten up and crisp up. It does more than just add brightness. And this is where this amp begins to really work. It really comes alive with that bright switch engaged. I've got no other effects on, completely as it belongs. With this, I'll let you hear the reverb quickly. I'm not a fan of reverb, and it might get disconnected because if I undo the wires in the reverb tank, it's a spring reverb, I can use the reverb like a presence knob, and it can really brighten it even more if I need to. So at the moment we have a spring reverb. It's easy enough to reconnect it if I want. So that's the reverb halfway. I'll put put it up full, which is really into the cave. It's not overkill, the reverb, it works really nicely, but it is a real spring. So I'll take that right back again because I'm not really going to use reverb, but it works really nicely. It's a nice analog real spring reverb like I used to remember, because back before this came out I was playing Peavey Bandits and they had the reverb tank, and it's possibly the same one. So there we have a nice clean tone. The low end in this, in the clean, if I put that up full, will probably clip that mic, but it is huge. And that's with the resonance control on medium. The resonance is a three-way switch here. So if I put that tight, I'll let you hear that. Medium. And on loose. So a lot of bass, as you hear there. Tight, medium, and that will obviously depend on your cabinet, what you want it to be, and your style of music. Because if I'm playing the 7-string and into the vintage 30s, I want it to be really tight focused sound, so I would back off and put it on to tight. However, if I'm playing more 80s kind of rock, I quite like this on the loose setting. It kind of mellows out the vintage 30s a bit. Anyway, on to the fun side. So if I press in the channel, the bright switch, by the way, only works on clean, doesn't do anything on gain. Now, confession time. I have no foot switch for this, so this is now on the Ultra channel, and there will be no doubt people will say, no, it's in the Crunch channel because this is all lit up orange. No. That is lit up orange because that seems to be where it's defaulted to, and that's meant to be wherever it was last left. Without a foot switch, I cannot access the Crunch channel. So that hasn't changed colour, that is meant to be now red, which it will be because I'm going to be making my own foot switch for this. Cannot get one, certainly not in Europe, and in America they're still asking around $100, and then I've got shipping and all the customs and everything else to get it to France. So I've ordered about 10 euros worth of switches, €1 of LEDs, and anything else? Some cable I picked up for €3, and I've got a casing, so I'm going to make, a DIN plug for €1.50, so I'm going to make my own 3-way foot switch for this. Anyway, I'm on the Ultra channel, and it's got an Ultra Gain Boost button on this. No bright switch, but Ultra Gain Boost. So again, I will set the EQ, which is shared between the Crunch and the Ultra, but they have their own gain and volume controls, so that makes this a great gigging amp for me because I can have my AC/DC Crunch sounds and I can have my Metalli Death high gain sounds. So, just as we are, everything on noon. Quite a lot of gain. I'll take the gain back to about 2 o'clock. that it backs off. But it's a bit lifeless, so honestly this is for metal, rock and metal. So get the gain up to about halfway, and I would brighten it a touch. Take that to about 2 o'clock. Take the mids just below noon to about 11 o'clock, and I would pop the bass up in this room. Maybe in a live context it'll be very, very different, but in this room, and that's this set on loose. So that's the most bass I'll get out of this. If I flick this up to tight, you've still got the low end, but you don't have that kind of woomph that you get. Medium is very nice for this. Now, with that amount of gain, that's plenty for rhythm. It lacks a little bit for lead, but if I want to focus that, I would just use a boost pedal. And I've got the Wampler Triumph at my feet because that's my new go-to baby. I love the thing. But a Boss SD1, Ibanez Tube Screamer or Tube Screamer clone will do a similar job. So the boost in, gain at noon. However, we have a button, and this one's the Ultra Gain, and it does for the gain channel, for the Ultra channel, what the Bright does for the clean. If you listen to this, all boosts are all off, big jump in gain, but it's also, the amp just comes alive. Now this, when I flick this to loose, it's still not too flubby. That's really still very, very tight. And even going mental and putting the gain up to about 2 o'clock, that's a hell of a lot of gain. To be honest now, when I'm in that amount of gain, I don't need a boost pedal at all, lead or rhythm. I would be quite happy gigging with that. Put a bit more edge in that to brighten it up. Just the bass, the bottom end is now at 1 o'clock. The treble is at 2 to 3, halfway between the two. The body is still at 11 o'clock. And for me now, I'm set. This is giggable. So there we go. If I add a bit of reverb onto that, say I turned up and I, for some mad reason, hadn't brought any pedals with me, and just to add a bit of reverb. All the reverb there. Now, this guitar doesn't have the hottest of pickups either. They're warm, they're quite a loose sounding standard, almost PAF pickup. So if you went for something like a DiMarzio Evolution or some of the more modern humbuckers, it would have much more output again and much hotter. So yeah, this is more than enough for what I'm doing. So forth. I'll try not to get copyright strikes. Probably won't, because my playing's not good enough to get copyright strikes. Anyway, it does, really in the Ultra channel, it does that 5150 thing. It really, really does. It's got that thump that the 5150 has, but it doesn't quite have as much gain. However, the 5150's got so much gain, you can never use it all anyway. You know, even here, the gain is only still at 2 o'clock, unboosted. And if you need more than that, it's going to be uncontrollable at any kind of volume. It just inspires me to want to keep playing. It just sounds so nice, even at room volume. It's fairly loud in the room, but you can certainly shout over it. It's not deafening. I do have neighbours through that wall, very tolerant neighbours actually. But this is just something I love playing. Now, over at this end, we do have a full power or half power, and obviously when you've got it really loud, when you've got it on half power, you're going to start driving the power amp tubes a bit earlier. But in actual fact, at this kind of level, the volume difference is negligible. A little bit of low end disappears, but again, it's another option that these don't have. That's a 50 watt, that's 120, but having this half power gives me a slight difference in the range of all the controls. They all just slightly nudge a different way. Better or worse, doesn't matter, it's different, so it gives me an option. Anyway, I'll let you hear the difference in power. If that camera will pick it up, I'm not sure. Full power! Half power. It's not a huge amount, so if I keep playing... little bit of volume, it's a fraction, nothing that tweaking that volume, which is not even on 1, it's absolutely ticking over. The noise floor on this is a little bit high at the moment, but it is getting better and better and better. The controls on the EQ side on the Ultra channel hadn't been used. They needed a bit of work to get them all happy again. But the more I use it, the better it's getting. And I'll just switch it over there so it's quiet just now. And I'll pop on a touch of delay for the little thing at the end. But 250 euros. Really? 5150s from this era are going for 5 times that, 6 times that money. It's a different amp, yes. But really, that is the bargain. That's amazing. For what you get for the money, it's amazing. And I absolutely love it. So I'll put a delay on just in the mix, just to, I'm going back to the gain because it's gorgeous. And if you really want to hear it with a boost in that, I'll do that. So again, Wampler Triumph set on the punch setting, stupid amounts of gain. But even without the gain on, this is just the amp with a touch of delay. You can lead guitar till your heart's content. There's more than enough gain for that. More gain. Okay, what I will quickly do is I will max out the gain. Mental. If I switch the resonance to medium then with the gain maxed, and I'll just take it to tight. It's still super tight even with the gain maxed out, but personally the amount of gain difference between noon and full is not worth doing. You lose a bit of the clarity. That's full. And that's 1 o'clock. more. You get up to about noon, 1 o'clock, and you're really not adding any more gain to that. If you want to do something else, you use the EQ and you tone shape. And if you were a fan of early 90s, late 80s thrash, the EQ in this, the mid-range, just takes you to there. As you hear, the volume's completely gone now, so I'll just put that up a touch. But if you want that scooped sound, which means you'll never be heard in a mix, but so it almost sounds like a vacuum. It sucks so much mids out. It's pretty much like putting on a Metal Zone and getting a really mad scooped early 90s, late 80s sound. So not my thing at all, but the range is crazy. You'd certainly never ever get that out of a Marshall. And if you think, this was the era of the Marshall JCM 900, and this came out. This is a monster. So there we go. I've got nearly half an hour, but I could play this thing all day. It's absolutely joyous. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great weekend. If you're watching this after the weekend, I hope you have a great week. Please like and subscribe, and go look for these. Really, go look for them. I think it's an amazing piece of kit, and I'm going to have this gigging this year for sure. This is amazing. So thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye. And that's got no boost on it. That's just the gain.